All right, welcome to episode 8 of Indy Star's Dawg Talk Podcast with Butler insider Akeem Glaspie. He's over there. Oh, over there. Yep, there we go. I'm Matt Glenesk, your Indy Star sports editor, and we are coming off of Butler's loss to Marquette, number 4 Marquette, on Tuesday night. And Akeem, first, let's just get your thoughts. Another top 5 opponent they played. They didn't play great, and they didn't get blown out. Like there was a 2-point game with like 4 minutes to go. But I felt like if they had played as well as they played against UConn, they could have won this game. But something was just missing.
Yeah, it seemed like it was headed towards like a blowout, kind of a non-competitive game. And then I guess, moving forward, this game will be considered the Finley Bizjack game. Maybe this is his breakout, his introduction to, the greater college basketball world. And, because I was, I'm writing my story. I'm kind of, trying to tie a bow on things, then you just keep looking up and he keeps hitting shots and, he's getting to the basket, he's getting fouled and all of a sudden they're chipping away and, they cut it to 2 and, they can't get back in the game. But I guess, again, it just shows how competitive this team is. And, Thad says they're winners and Shaka Smart says this is a tournament team. So, you'd like to see them pull out games like this, but, it's a positive result, even though they didn't get the win.
Great hair, great name, got the game too. So I think Finley Bizjack, and I can't remember who the announcer was. What was it? Raftery last night?
It was Raftery and Jason Benetti. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I couldn't get over all the awful puns they were going off Bizjack, but it was hard to listen to it sometimes. But again, 19 points for him, 16 of the 19 in the second half. Is that right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Enough. Yeah. So it was just, did you find it weird that Posh Alexander didn't play a lot in that second half, that they rolled with Bizjack, or was it just like, we're going with the hot hand? Because it seemed, and it wasn't just the threes that Bizjack was hitting. It was like, he realized he could take his defender off the dribble and was doing it. He was driving to the basket, getting fouled. Like, I think he might've surprised Marquette. I don't think he was probably on their scouting report too much.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised because I don't think Posh is playing at 100%. Actually, I know Posh isn't playing at 100%. He has a foot issue. I believe it's plantar fasciitis, and that's tough. That's tough to kind of limit your explosiveness, and I'm sure it's something that's kind of nagging him and kind of hampering him. So, I mean, if Posh is off, then you're right. Go with the hot hand, and yeah, of the starters, Posh played the least amount of minutes. And again, Finley kind of earned his minutes. And on a team like this, with veterans, the young players have to earn their minutes. So, credit to Finley. And even in the Creighton game, Greg McDermott said, this team is different without Posh. Obviously Posh brings a lot of defense, a lot of tenacity, but he's not an outside shooter. So when you have a player like Finley, it just creates a completely different aspect, different look on offense. They're more wide open, more perimeter oriented. And you saw what Bizjack can bring. He's a confident guy. He's a great shooter. And you're right. His ability to attack the basket may be underrated. And he has that reverse layup. I'm sure that's in the scouting report. It seems like every other game he's using the rim to protect himself and getting those nice reverse layups. So he's kind of showing his all around complete game. And it was needed because DJ Davis, who had been on fire, had an off game, 1 for 6 from 3. So, I mean, this is what good team.
That's what happened. It's the Glaspie jinx. You write a nice long feature on how he's the best shooter, one of the best shooters people have ever seen, and he shoots like 1 for 8 or 2 for 7, whatever he finished with last night. They could have used some of his threes but again, you could tell Marquette was really guarding him out as far. He was catching it to almost to the logo, and they were on him. So they knew the scouting report because they had been hurt by him again. But I think he had 4 straight 20-point games, and he might finish with 8 or single. He finished with single digits in this game. So again, they didn't play great, and they were in this game. To me, that's a good sign. Yes, it's a home game, but they've already beat Marquette. They played UConn on the road tough. They won at Creighton, a ranked Creighton team where they never win in Omaha. So I just think this team they're a tournament team, and Shaka said it after the game, and his quote was very close to what Ed Cooley said after the first Georgetown game, where he's like, I can't get over what Thad Matta has done with this team so quickly. And I think people in the Big East see that the night and day from last year's team to this year's team, and it takes people by. They're like, Dang, he's really done it, and we got to worry about Butler now again because it was almost identical. I'm sure the other coaches have said the same, but those two really stand out where they're like, this team is completely different. They play with heart. They play hard. They're good. They're well coached. They're a good team, and that's got to be music to Butler fans' ears who have had a rough go of it the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and I guess the most important word that Shaka used is culture. It's like the culture that he's able to bring in. That's something that, again, that is reiterated to me throughout the years. Like, these guys have a chip on their shoulder. They want to be here. They're winners, like I said before, and that shows, in games like yesterday. But yeah, culture, especially when you have all these new guys coming in, you don't know how they're gonna come together. They're from different parts of the country, different countries altogether, in the case of someone like Augusto Cassia. And it's just, the way they've come together is really impressive. And especially in today's, college basketball, when a lot of it can be like me, these guys have definitely proven that they're team players.
I think what's probably taken them by surprise the most, these opposing coaches, is because they've probably been in similar situations, and you see other teams in the country who have tried to rebuild on the fly. Look at IU, 7 new players this year. And Mike Woodson is in February still saying, hey, we're still trying to gel, figure out the best way for us to play. And here's Thad Matta, almost 11 new players, and finding a way to get these guys all to click and play well in what I think is a much better conference than what the Big Ten is this year. I think the Big East is head and shoulders above what the Big Ten is. Just because, I think it's going to be a really bad NCAA tournament for the Big Ten, aside from Purdue, if they can get past St. Mary's of Francis or whoever they're going to have to play. You said Shaka said they're a tournament team. I've been saying this is a tournament team from the beginning, just because, again, watching these players, watching a Pierre Brooks, a Jamil Telfort, these are confident guys, and they know how to score. They know how to play hard. And so I've felt it now. Again, they got Creighton at home on Saturday. I'm not calling it a must win. Are you calling it a must win?
No, and I will say before we get to the Creighton game, talking to DJ the other day, that the preseason ranking of them at, the second to last team behind DePaul, that is something that rubbed them the wrong way. That's something that they definitely talk about, and that's something that they want to rub in people's faces, how wrong they were about, how talented this team was. So, I talk about them having
to these people's credit. How many people watched UC Irvine? How many people watched Northeastern? So they didn't know what they were really getting. And Pierre Brooks didn't play a ton at Michigan State. So I could see some hesitancy, especially if you saw what you saw from last year's team. I could understand coming in a little hesitant to put stock in them. I think it was going to take you to watch this team and go, oh no, I see how all these pieces fit. Yeah, this is a good team.
But again, I don't think it took many practices for them to realize that, okay, Jamil's game translates from, Northeastern to the Big East. DJ's game transfers. Pierre Brooks, he just needed more time and more minutes, and his body and his skill set will transfer. And then Thad Matta is a good coach. That's what everyone says, is that Thad, he knows what he's doing. He's proven it at every step along the way. So, yes, hindsight is 20/20, but the pieces were there, and they're kind of showing now what they're capable of. But you're right. They have to hold up their end of the bargain. They definitely can't lose out or, just kind of stumble along the way and still kind of hope to get into the tournament. But as of now, this team is trending toward the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and again, the Creighton game at home on Saturday. You win that. It's another quad 1 win. It looks great. Yes. It's a season sweep of Creighton, which is going to look great. The first Creighton Butler game, what was it, 2 weeks ago or a week ago? Best game I've watched all year. Best game, like the most, from a neutral point of view, the most entertaining college basketball game I've watched all year. And I saw some Butler fans kind of tweeting something similar, like, wow, that was fun. Like, yes, I'm sure it's more fun because they won, but that was a fun game of basketball. Both really high offensive teams. They know what they're doing. They shot the ball great, both teams. So are you expecting a similar game like that? Are we going to see another 99-98 kind of game?
No, because because the sets that they're running, they're on film now. So yes, I would expect them to make adjustments. So like, okay, when DJ catches the ball here, watch for this. They're making adjustments, and they're not doing much on-court practice, but they're definitely getting in the film room and kind of learning some things, and it's going to be about execution. So, maybe those open threes become contested threes, and maybe Butler will continue to hit them, and the same for Creighton. But I still expect it to be a very competitive game, like to be 90 points, like one of the most high scoring Big East games in a very long time that didn't go into overtime. That's asking for a lot, but I definitely expect to watch a well executed game between two good teams.
Yeah, I wonder how many. What time is the game Saturday? Is it going up against the slam dunk contest, or is it during the day? We might get some.
I believe it's 2, but it could be 12.
Okay, so we might get some NBA folks in the building checking out checking out Hinkle Fieldhouse with the sun coming in. There's very few places like it in college basketball. All right, so you'll have a lot of people in from the national media. So I'm assuming we'll see some NBA celebs or notable people. All right, so say they lose against Creighton. How does their NCAA tournament resume look? Now, the Texas Tech win looks better and better every day. That first Marquette win obviously holds up pretty great. I mean, how many teams have beat a top 4 team in the country on their court? So that's a pretty dang good win. As long as they don't slip up to but like St. John's isn't easy, at Seton Hall isn't easy. At Villanova is not easy. So there's still some potential potholes. Indianapolis, capital of the potholes. There's still some potholes on the road to March. What are they saying? Are they talking about March at all?
No, and that's actually one of the questions I asked Thad yesterday is that something you guys talk about? And Thad said no. He said it's something that he doesn't talk about. His quote was, if we don't handle business in February, then March doesn't matter. But he also said, like, the players, they probably do talk about it. They're human. They're young adults. They definitely do talk about it, and they probably grew up watching the NCAA tournament and the pomp and circumstance that goes around it. So within the locker room, it might be discussed, but on the practice court and in the huddles, no, that's not something that Thad addresses. And to Butler's credit, I don't think they're pressing or playing tight or anything like that. I just think they got beat by a better team yesterday, but I know they definitely do care. And again, they want to prove people wrong. So making the NCAA tournament go a long way to kind of showing what this program is about.
Yeah, and Donnie Marshall during the halftime of the game Tuesday night said that if they were asked a dark horse team to win the Big East tournament, he said Butler. And I think that goes to show, and Donnie Marshall's not like a Butler apologist by any stretch of the imagination, but it goes to show that people are taking notice of the job that Mata. And like we said, Ed Cooley said it, Chaka Smart said it, Donnie Marshall's watched Big East basketball all year. For them to pick this team in this conference, that's got 2 top 5 teams in the country as a potential team that could be, flying the ointment come Big East tournament time, that's quite a statement.
Yeah, and then it speaks to the personnel that Butler has. Again, Shaka called Jamil Telford one of the most impactful players in the Big East. He had 6 assists last night, and he's like a point forward at 230 pounds. He's a pretty unique player. And again, DJ Davis has game-changing shooting ability. Finley Bizjack, Pierre Brooks, just the skill sets and the talent that they have. Yeah, that's a team capable of catching fire because, like, again, against Creighton, if you catch Butler on a great day, they can outscore anybody. So yeah, that's definitely not a Cinderella team, but a team that's capable of stringing some games together. So yeah, on a good day, I definitely wouldn't want to see Butler.
And one player on Saturday I might look out for more is Augusto Cassia. Now, I know he only played that one play against Providence, whether he fouled him or blocked him. He says he got all ball. Sure, then Jalen Thomas must have fouled him. Doesn't matter. It was a block. They win the game. So they won the Providence game, but he only played that one play. He played pretty early against Marquette. He got some early minutes in the first half, and then that was kind of it. But at least he threw him out there and said, all right, this might not be the game for him kind of thing. But against Creighton in the first game, I think you really saw in the second half too, where they were looking for any way to get stops because Creighton was keeping up with them. It was like, gosh, we're going to have to score 90 to win this game. They brought in Cassia, and you can tell his length and athleticism did bother some of Creighton's outside shooters. And so I wonder if we're going to see maybe more of that. I'm not saying he's going to play 15 minutes, but I think he might be someone who can come in and maybe change the game a little bit just to give them something different because he is completely different than anyone else on this roster. And he is slowly finding a role you wrote about this earlier this week, but you could tell Thad is looking for ways to get him involved. Obviously, he missed the first 2 months of the season, missed a lot of the preseason with injury, and he's a freshman. Now he's an older freshman, so he's more physically ready for it. But you watch him and you're like, there's something there. It's going to take coaching, but it looks like Thad is trying to get him into this lineup because he could possibly be an X factor later down the road.
Yeah, and some of those sporadic minutes are available because Connor Turnbull is out with injury. So that's kind of the one piece that they're missing. And again, Connor is another one of those X factor type guys that can come in and with a highlight dunk or a 3-pointer that can quickly change the game. But
is he, right. Are we calling him out for the season? Is that kind of the feel?
I haven't had an injury update. That's something I need to check on. But I don't believe it was supposed to be a season-ending injury. But that's something I'll need to check on. But like you said, Augusto has just rare athletic ability, size, can guard 1 through 5. Can switch everything, and he tries to dunk everything. Like he's an Energizer bunny out there, and yeah, he could be needed on Saturday.
Okay, all right. Well, is there anything else we need to talk about heading into Saturday's game that we haven't touched on?
No, I mean Greg Doyle got to check out Butler yesterday. He had a nice story on Finley Bizjack. Shaka Smart is a Finley Bizjack fan. That was a nice anecdote that he got. Again, I had a story on DJ about his shooting, and just the Big West coaches just raved about DJ, and just he's a nightmare to prepare for, and just with his shooting ability, how quickly he can change a game. And then again, Augusto, just kind of what he's been able to do from a kid who grew up swimming in Brazil to now playing Division I basketball. So just this is a very interesting Butler team. So if you haven't read those stories, check those out.
Yeah, and I think it's also interesting to note that they were in that game against the number 4 team in the country when their 2 starting guards, Posh Alexander and DJ Davis, didn't play particularly well. And if you get different outcomes from those 2, yes, I know Finley Bizjack blew up, but if you get 2 other outcomes from those 2, this is, like I said, it was a 2-point game with 4 minutes to go. The game was there, and then it just kind of got away because, hey, Marquette's really good. And just like against UConn's really good. Like Butler actually played I thought very well against UConn at the number 1 team in the country. And so again, you see it. This is a good team. They just have to take care of business these last 5 games before the Big East tournament. All right, Akeem, how do you like this new format, Akeem? Do you like it? Do you like the video? Is it working?
Yeah, it gives me a reason to I have to dress for video now. So
oh, this is dressing for video. A sweatshirt and a cap is dressing for video?
Oh, if you know, you know. Yeah, that's all I'll say.
All right. Well, I hope everything's going well at home. You look very well rested for someone with a 1-month-old daughter. So you're doing something right. You getting enough sleep?
Yeah. That's credit to my wife. She's a great partner. Handles the night feeding, so I can go to sleep. I'll fake oh, do you need me to change a diaper? And then I'll just go back to sleep.
Yeah. Oh no, it's always about it's a token gesture because she knows she's gonna take care of it. She's got to feed her anyways. It's like, honey, do you want? Oh, okay. At least get credit for asking. No, I like it. All right. Well, he is Akeem Glaspie, the Butler insider for Indy Star. I'm Matt Glenesk. Thank you for listening to episode 8 of Dawg Talk. Again, Creighton at Butler Saturday matinee. There's no place better to be than Hinkle Fieldhouse during All-Star Weekend. Check it out. All right. Talk to you later, Akeem.
See you.